Have you ever wondered what it's actually like inside Finn and Jake's tree fort and how it works? Not just the living room, but every single room? Because the answer is way darker and more complex than you think. There's a demon summoning treasure vault, an entire civilization living inside the walls, and a secret in the kitchen floorboards that explains the entire 1,000-year history of this tree. Today we're going room by room, exploring every single space in this house. And you actually won't believe what's underground. Let's jump right into it. But before we go into the tree itself, we need to understand what we're looking at, because this is not just a tree with some rooms, believe it or not, but this is a tree with a tragic past. You see, 1,000 years ago, before Finn and Jake moved in, this tree was actually just a tiny sapling growing next to the Candy Kingdom. But this is where it gets dark. A girl named Shoko, who was actually one of Finn's past lives, died right under this sapling after being mutated by radioactive river water. She was clutching Princess Bubblegum's amulet when she died, and her body has been inside the tree ever since. You heard that right, there's a literal corpse in the kitchen floorboards. But we'll eventually get to that. The tree grew massive over centuries, with a main canopy and 3 smaller canopies connected by wooden bridges, and this became to what we know it as the tree fort. Now let's start at the very bottom. Obviously we have the entrance, and there's actually another place right above this that is just as packed, and obviously we'll get to that next, but this is their treasure room, the entrance. And this isn't just a few gold coins, this place is packed, and not only with gold coins, but a bunch of unique stuff. But here's what's really wild. In the episode Furniture and Meat, Finn and Jake literally spend all of this treasure in one day. Now don't get me started on the moral implications of this episode, but Wildberry Princess actually ends up melting most of it. And by the end, the room is completely empty except for one single gold coin. But don't worry, by later episodes like Don't Look, the treasure is back and piled high again, because they just keep collecting more. Oh, and sometimes the ancient Psychic Kingdom War Elephant just hangs out here. Other than that, the entrance is actually pretty simple. Wooden front door on one end, ladder leading up to the hollow trunk on the other. That's right, hollow. So let's climb up to this trunk, shall we? Because the trunk itself is actually another room. The entire inside of this trunk is hollow and covered in wooden boards. And who would have guessed it? It's completely filled with even more treasure. But let's get into some rooms that they actually live in. On top of this ladder, we reach the living room, the heart of the tree fort, and where Finn and Jake spend most of their time. But here's where it gets a little confused. There might actually be 2 living rooms. The main one has a purple chair, a table for BMO and video games, and a large monster skin rug. But in some episodes, there's another room 1 floor up with a brown couch, a different rug, and a round red couch. Now this could be a part of the kitchen. Either way, the living room connects to the kitchen, and that this is their main hangout spot. But let's head upstairs even more and see where they sleep. The bedroom sits directly above the living room, accessed by yet again another ladder made of planks nailed right into the trunk itself. And this room is packed with character details. First, there are giant shark jaws hung over the beds, a spiked mace hanging from the ceiling, and a 6-armed beast skin rug on the floor. A huge tree limb grows right through the room with a battered desk on it. You know, a pretty basic bedroom. Now their beds, Finn sleeps in a sleeping bag on monster pelt with an end table next to it. And Finn does not like worms on his bed. He literally throws the Enchiridion at one, yelling,
"No worms on the bed!"
Jake sleeps in an open drawer that also holds his viola, a picture of Lady Rainicorn, books, bones, and a locket with a jeweled J. But here's the weirdest part. In Holly Jolly Secrets Part 2, the bedroom is completely different. It's much larger, the roof is gone, and there's a fireplace. Now that's the bedroom, but we're not done with the interior yet. Let's talk about some of the more specialized rooms scattered throughout the tree. First, there's the cave, a small cave built into the back of the tree where they keep tools and equipment. Finn actually assembles Neptune here in the episode What is Life, and they build fireproof suits here in the episode Hot to Touch. Then there's the bathroom, which has only appeared a handful of times, with a wooden bathtub, mirror, and toilet. But its location is wildly inconsistent. Sometimes near the bedroom, sometimes in the living room area, and in the episode 5 Short Graybles, it's somehow inside the hollow log in the kitchen. This is actually where BMO talks to football, and Finn cuts his hair in the episode Davy. The kitchen is another major space. It has a couch, table, stove, and other appliances. And remember Shoko? Her skeleton is literally underneath these floorboards. But there's one room that's particularly important for their adventuring lifestyle, and that's the den, also sometimes called the weapon room. This small room connects to the living room and is used for miscellaneous purposes, but mostly storing dangerous stuff. It's got a large gauntlet, a small gauntlet, and a small bomb that looks kind of like a nuclear weapon. There's also a bookcase, a chair with a pillow, and a desk with a notebook. We see it in the episode Rainy Day Daydream, Beyond This Earthly Realm, and Holly Jolly Secret Part 2, when Ice King breaks in through the chimney. BMO uses this room in the episode Be More when deleting his saved files. It's basically their armory and storage for anything too dangerous to keep in their bedroom and or living room. But let's head even higher up in the tree. tree. Up one more level, we reach the attic, and this place is definitely abandoned compared to everywhere else. The attic has the initials AT carved into the tree, which probably stands for Adventure Time, and a picture of Lady Rainicorn near it. The place is pretty dirty, obviously, for an attic, and probably never gets cleaned. To get up here, you either climb into a bucket and use a pulley system from the weapon room below, or you take a bridge connected to the living room. This is actually where Finn talks to Marceline about Princess Bubblegum not liking him in the episode Go With Me. Basically, it's their forgotten storage space, like pretty much every attic is. Now, before we reach the very top of this tree, there's one more unique space, the boat. Yes, there's a boat. This appears mostly in the episode Slow Love, and it's basically a lookout point at the very top of one of the branches. It's got an umbrella, a dining table with 4 chairs, a telescope that's sometimes pointed toward the Candy Kingdom. Why is there a boat on a tree? Because why not? I would love a boat on my roof. But one last thing that is above the boat, we reach the roof, the highest point of the tree fort and the top of the entire canopy. Although it looks like it should just be leaves and branches, the roof is actually a solid surface. This makes it perfect for parties in Star Watch, as we see in the episode Power Animal and the episode Incendium. Then in the episode Marceline's Closet, Marceline lies on the roof trying to imitate owl sound while spying on Finn and Jake. It's basically their outdoor hanging space with the best view in Ooh. From up here, you can see the Ice Kingdom and pretty much all of their adventure territory. Now, going to the very opposite, we need to talk about the yard. You know, the yard surrounding the tree. It has several unique features. There are plants, a pond that sometimes has nymphs, and currently houses football, a well, a yurt, what probably is an electrical generator, and a vegetable garden in the back. But here's the thing about that well. It doesn't have water. Instead, it's the entrance to the Beneathiverse, where the gnomes rule. Yep, there's an entire underground dimension accessible through their well. Just casually, no big deal. And speaking of hidden chaos, we need to talk about what lives inside of the walls of the tree fort themselves. In the episode, we discover that various creatures actually live inside the tree fort's walls. There's a humanoid male with a typewriter, a spider, 6 mice with little beds in different colors, and a cat sarcophagus surrounded by hanging decorations and pyramids. In the episode Little Brother, we see even more when Shelby's brother Kent has an adventure inside the wall, including the Racking and a place called Dupia. So the tree fort isn't just home to Finn and Jake, it's literally home to entire civilizations living between the wooden boards. And the tree is alive with secret tenants. Now let's talk about one of the biggest things in the tree fort's history, because this building doesn't just have past trauma, it has a complete life cycle. I myself had actually no idea about this until I did my research, but after the events of the episode Little Brother, the treehouse blossomed and became covered in tiny pink flowers, like a cherry blossom tree. But in the series finale, Come Along With Me, the tree fort was completely destroyed. As Fern was dying, Finn and Jake granted his final wish and planted his seedling remains where the tree fort once stood. That seedling immediately grew into a new tree of the same species, though this one is just a tree with no house built into it yet. It does, however, have a regenerated fin sword growing from it. Then 1,000 years in the future, this tree grew to a massive size, higher than the cloud, with the fin sword still embedded in it. Then 2 new adventurers named Shermie and Beth eventually climbed to the top, claimed the sword, and made the tree their hangout spot, just like Finn and Jake did a millennium before. The cycle continued. And speaking of cycles continuing, Adventure Time isn't done with us yet. The brand new Fiona and Cake Season 2 trailer just dropped, and it's packed with reveals that connect back to everything we've seen before. I've gone through it frame by frame and found some incredible details you definitely missed. If you want the full breakdown, click the video on screen now. Trust me, this trailer has way more going on than you think. But as always, stay adventurous.